All right, looks like we might be all right. So this is gonna be part two of my juice opinions. I'm just gonna get right into the Bowser's Fury. I wait till some more people get in here, but I switched to check to reset my router. First, it wouldn't come back on at all, and then it did, and then I had to restart my computer twice, and then it still wasn't great. So I switched OBS to 30 frames per second, and now it's in the green. So I don't know what happened. Just one of those things. What's up, Fiji? I don't know if you missed if you made the first 45 minutes before my internet issue happened. So I was basically talking about. I was wrapping up the discussion about file sizes with Nintendo games. I was very focused on the audio part of it. Somebody would mentioned anybody who's doing more than, and that's something I didn't really get into, but anybody who's doing more than anything than just using their TV speakers or a basic soundbar, Nintendo's really dropped the ball when it comes to audio. Even with the Wii U, and the Switch. Now on Wii it was analog audio; it wasn't great. On Wii U, it finally went to digital audio through HDMI, but they didn't support like Dolby Digital or anything, so they did their own PCMs, basically just a generic 5.1. But they continued to make their games super small, and so they've never had like really standout audio. Well, the PS4 had a similar problem. The audio chip in the PS4 just wasn't that good, so you didn't have the same impact. Like PS3 actually had better audio capabilities, and Nintendo's basically still what I bet you the Xbox 360 days, hooked up to with a fiber optic cable, Dolby Digital. Like I bet you those games, which were on DVDs, so 14 gigabyte dual layer. I think the top, like those Call of Duty games, were 7-8 gigs. I bet you the Switch is not even on par with I'd say the average Switch game is probably not on par with the high end Xbox 360 games. That's how far behind they are. And really, the capabilities there. The USB Type C connection is fully capable of. I forget the bandwidth. It's very high. It could send Dolby Atmos. Honestly, if the HDMI port on the dock was 2.0, HDMI 2.0 standard, there's no reason you couldn't get a super high quality Dolby Atmos through the. I don't know if the Switch can handle it, but I mean, it's the USB Type C is not the issue. So, but anyway, let's get into Bowser's Fury. Since the reason I brought all that up is that was my very first impression of the game, coming off 2 months of playing PS5. You know, the two things I noticed first was the audio. I was playing in handheld mode during the podcast, and Clocked It was like, "Hey, you get that hooked up, get it on the big screen on with your speakers," and that's where I was like super mad. I was so disappointed with the audio experience. Now for a Switch game, it's not bad because I actually went today. I actually went back and played Odyssey and tried out some other games on Switch, and it's not terrible. I was mad and I was frustrated because, the USB 3. I was talking about the HDMI. The HDMI 2.0, not USB. Two different things. But anyway, I was kind of ranting and raving because I was so disappointed when Fury Bowser comes out. And like, if you guys saw that graph I tried to draw, the dynamic range is so shrunk together that the music and like Bowser's footsteps, they had no impact. I turned my system up louder, and then everything was just really harsh sounding, really low quality. Harsh is the best word, but low quality. When you turn up low quality loud, it doesn't sound great. It starts to fall apart. At lower volumes, you don't notice it as much, but at adequate volume, what I would consider, I'm being chased around by Fury Bowser, basically kaiju, and there's no bass in his footsteps. There's no like impact when he lands. It's just so disappointing in terms of what I'm coming from. Astro's Playroom absolutely should not destroy a first party 3D Mario game on any level. But I guess if it's going to, audio would be the least impactful for most people. But I went from Astro's Playroom to I wanted to upgrade my speakers. I was so impressed with the audio, to Bowser's Fury, where it's like I would have been better off with my tiny little satellite speakers. This sounds like not abysmal, but the difference between Astro's Playroom and Bowser's Fury audio is like two generations, of game consoles. It really is a stark difference. It's more drastic than any other aspect. Visuals are pretty good, but the audio. So my very first impression, and this is really specific to me, coming off 2 straight months of PS5 because I hadn't played. I finished Splatoon Octo Expansion like 2 months ago. That was the last time I played my Switch, and maybe played a little bit with Knockout City. I think that might have been after that. Might have been, I don't know. Either way, so my ears were tuned to a very high quality audio experience. I've been watching DC Titans through HBO Max. Very good audio on that show. And then I think that's basically for that same setup. In the theater room, obviously, I'm getting way more experience. But big problem with that DLC is they kept all the mechanics of the main game, but threw it into a full 3D world you can't comfortably run and change camera. Exactly. I'll get into like the nitpicks and stuff. Overall, though, I'm setting up my very first impression, especially for the Juices Loose guys who had to listen to me rant. Not listen, but read me rant about the audio. Because it is disappointing. As a longtime Nintendo fan, Nintendo's always pushed. I mean, on the N64, I think they had Pro Logic 2. GameCube, Pro Logic 2. They really pushed. Their games always sounded the best. And now we're in a world where their games, most often than not, don't sound the best. They don't push the technology like that. So for me, my very first thought was when I got it hooked up on the TV and the surround sound. It's a 5.1 system with a really good subwoofer and good speakers, and it just sounded flat. The music really flat. The Bowser's Fury theme, which is awesome, is kind of lost within everything's all like within the same volume of itself. It's just a bad mix. So that was like a bad start. By the end, I didn't notice it as much, and like I said in the previous part 1 of my Juice Opinions, I actually turned my center channel up like 2 or 3 decibels, and that helped. And I think that's going to help me with other things. I haven't played the PS5 since to see if that is too loud for the games I've been playing on there. We'll see. Maybe I just had it lower than it should have been. But either way, it's not a deal breaker for 95% of the people. You're going to be like, Juice, you're crazy. This game sounds great. When you can hear the music, it's catchy music. I wouldn't put it up there with the best of the best 3D World and Odyssey and Galaxy music, but it's good music. It's just a little bit lost within the sound mix, which is unfortunate. The other, I wouldn't say major thing, but so that was the first thing. The second thing that jumped out at me, a huge, like, immediate, is also during Fury Bowser, because like I said, I started in handheld mode, and then when I docked it, I went right into the Fury Bowser fight. The lack of rumble, and I tried it with the Joy-Cons just because I thought maybe my Pro Controller wasn't doing it, because I think those motors are wore out. The lack of HD rumble usage, but just the lack of rumble in general. Yeah, you'll be walking over a spot and you'll feel the controller vibrate, and you ground pound and there's some coins. But other than that, it's very minimal. And I hate, to keep bringing up the PS5, but I got spoiled with Astro's Playroom and Returnal. Both those games have where you feel raindrops on your fucking controller. Like, every little movement is felt. And I don't think the Switch's HD Rumble is capable of that, but I think it's capable of a lot more. So it's just disappointing coming from, and it's a brand new system, brand new controller. It's basically HD Rumble. I would say 3.0, not even 2.0. But to come from my hands are used to that to now I'm not feeling it. Yeah, by the third day I wasn't thinking about it as much, but those were the first two things that stood out to me. Not problems for most people. If you don't have a PS5 and you haven't experienced the haptics of the DualSense, you're probably not going to notice it because it's not that much different than any other Nintendo game lately, as far as the Rumble. The audio for most people is not going to be an issue. So that's just, to me. But as far as the rest of the game, it's a really good game. I was listing the things that it does that are different, that are the same as other games, and the guys in the Juice Loose crew thought I was listing complaints. They weren't complaints. It's just like, oh, you can't swim underwater, which is not the first time. Sunshine, you couldn't, and in Odyssey, actually, the underwater's not that great, but you can't swim underwater. It's just a statement. It's not really. It doesn't really bother me. Yeah, there's been some great 3D games with underwater. This doesn't have it. There's no double jump. Is that a negative? Kind of, but it also doesn't really affect this game particular. It's a negative in that Odyssey had the triple jump and moving Mario was awesome. And now you don't even have a double jump, but you have a cat suit. You have you have other abilities you never had in a full 3D game. So, but overall, it's a really good game. As DLC for 3D World, it's really good. I think I'm gonna stick with my B plus. It didn't quite get into the A minus range for me, even though it has a really fun last Bowser fight. I wouldn't say it's great. It's just really fun. It just ends well. It's an enjoyable game. Getting the cat shines. I was never bored. I was a little disappointed that each hub area has a lighthouse. You get 5 cat shines in each area. In every one of those, one of the cat shines is you got to wait till Fury Bowser destroys some blocks, and then there's a shine right there. Every one of them had that. I think there's 5 or 6 hub areas. So it was like, that was cool, but then it's just those were probably the least interesting of all the shines. There's on Plessy, there's a couple different things to do to get them to get a shine with Plessy. There's a good variety. There's everyone also has find the little mini cat shards to get a shine. So every area has those two. You have to get the shards, and you have to have Fury Bowser destroy the blocks. But other than that, I didn't really have any like, oh my god, this was so lame. There was no challenge here. It was mostly enjoyable, and I would actually say the length of the game is a benefit to the game they made. So I don't really count that as a negative. So the things I like, it's just, like I said, catchy music, good, colorful art direction, really nice looking visuals. And going back to Odyssey, I was surprised at how low res Odyssey gets to keep its frame rate, whereas Bowser's Fury stays higher res and suffers on the frame rate, which I'll talk about in a little bit. Run around in cat suit Mario and not having the 8 degrees of movement like in 3D World. It's fun running around. Tanuki suit, which I didn't really utilize that often. Didn't really feel that compelled. So I would say, because it doesn't have like a brand new power up, you don't get that excitement usually of a new Mario game that you normally would get. You don't have that new mechanic like Cappy or Gravity or the cat suit for the first time. or playing a 2D style Mario game in 3D. You know, he doesn't really have that new gimmick, I would say, that's really compelling, because Fury Bowser is the main gimmick, and he's actually probably the most disappointing part of the game. Unfortunately, the first couple times it's exciting, and then it just starts to get annoying because he'll show up every few minutes when you're right in the middle of, like, there's like one where you have to knock 8 bullies into the lava, and as you jump there's a red and blue switch, you know, so it's a little bit challenging. I'm down to the last 2, and then he pops up, and it's like, yeah, I get that's what they're kind of trying to do, but at the same time, um, it diminishes his impact, because I knock the bullies in, I get the shine, and he's gone. You know, it's like, I would think it, for me personally, I would think it would have been better to have fewer Fury Bowser appearances and have each one almost not scripted, but you get at 20 shines, he's gonna pop up, you know, and then you have to stop what you're doing and deal with him. It just becomes to the point where, honestly, I didn't even turn my camera to look at him. I just was doing what I was doing. I get the shine, he'll disappear, and honestly, after 40 seconds, he leaves anyway. Like, if you don't even acknowledge him, you just keep moving, you don't get hit by anything, and he just disappears. He just leaves. So that part of it could have been awesome. It could have been like the most memorable thing ever in a Mario game, and it turns out to be just kind of a gimmick. It felt like it was tacked on, or they had the idea and it's like, how they would start building the game, and they're like, well, this doesn't really hold up over a long period of time, and maybe that's why it ended up as DLC. I don't know. I'd be very curious to find out the development of this game. There's a lot of interesting things now that I've played it that I'm curious about. It definitely was never Odyssey DLC like a lot of people theorized, and it's hard to believe it was even 3D World DLC. I don't know. I feel like it was a concept they had, and they wanted to make the 3D World package more appealing, and I kind of feel like they threw this thing together in under a year. But that's just my theory. And I haven't even addressed the elephant in the room, the fact that I bought another Wii U port when I was so against it. This is the one. You can go back, watch all the Juices Loose podcasts, all the Juice opinions. I've never complained about this package, other than I wish they would have just made Bowser's Fury a separate thing. So I was never mad them actually adding a decent chunk of a new game to the package. So for me, Bowser's Fury is easily worth $20, possibly $30 for physical, and I got the game for $50. So either way, I could either say it's split 3D World, or I could say 3D World's $30 and $20 for Bowser's Fury. Either way, it works out. I feel good about it. I don't have a physical copy of 3D World. It's my favorite 3D Mario game, so I feel really good about having a physical version. And Bowser's Fury is definitely worth playing. Like I was saying, you got the cat suit. You have the full 360-degree movement of a 3D Mario game. You have, camera, which somebody pointed out, Lucius. The only, I would say the missed opportunity of having the full 3D movement with the cat suit is you have to use the run button still. So I actually had to do multiple fingers. I'm trying to turn the camera while running, holding a key so I could see where I was going. It's kind of unfortunate, and it just reminded me, in 3D World, I don't mind the run, but in Bowser's Fury, it feels like it was unnecessary. And going to Odyssey right after, it's like, did you say Bowser's Fury? Just visuals, just the visuals. But it suffers performance, but it stays higher resolution. I was playing Odyssey just earlier. I was sandwiched it in between Bowser's Fury. I played Bowser Fury, turned on Odyssey, turned back to Bowser Fury. And Odyssey, I was doing a boss fight on in the Wooded Kingdom, like the thing with the spinning tops, you have to stack the Goombas and jump on its head. It dropped to like really low resolution multiple times during that fight. Bowser's Fury doesn't really drop noticeably, but frame rate does. So that's what I was saying. It's just visual quality is higher. It should be. It's a newer game built, for what we know, exclusively for Switch. Odyssey, I feel like started as a Wii U game, but anyway, it's fun. Music's catchy. There's a couple tracks that stand out. Plessy's theme is stuck in my head for now. I don't think there's any, other than Fury Bowser's theme music, I don't think there's any like legendary music in here, but it's definitely high quality. I mentioned to the guys that I didn't think this lived up to the high standards of a 3D Mario game, other than Sunshine didn't either. So what I mean by that is, stellar performance. This game does not run at 60 very consistently at all, especially with Fury Bowser. It drops significant. I have to rewatch Digital Foundry's analysis because it drops to not just above unplayable levels at moments. And then even without Fury Bowser, I noticed. So the performance isn't there. I don't think the music's, like I said, that same status of, you're going to want to buy some people might love it. It was catchy. It was fine. It wasn't bad. Couple tracks I stood out, but, it's not, oh my God, did you guys hear that track? And when you get to this area, like when you get to Wooded Kingdom and Odyssey, did the 3D World main theme, like the Galaxy main theme, like it doesn't really have that. And maybe it doesn't need to. It was, basically DLC. The other thing is, they took there's no double jump. There's no triple jump. So your moveset's limited slightly. And you have to hold the run button. You can't, I felt like it just wasn't quite as polished as I would expect from a 3D Mario game. Where would I put it on a list? Is it better than Sunshine? It's hard because I enjoyed Sunshine when I played it on GameCube. It was, it wasn't until Galaxy 1 and 2 and I went back to Sunshine. I was like, you know what? This game wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. I talked myself into it. But, that's looking at it now in hindsight. But playing Bowser's Fury, getting the 100 cat shines, doing the epic boss fight at the end, I had an enjoyable time. I've been nitpicking stuff. I've been pointing out negatives. That's because it's a 3D Mario game. The things you talk about in a 3D Mario game compared to the other 3D Mario games is, hey, what is the new mechanic? What's the new gimmick? What's what's different about this one? They're all very unique. So what's different is Fury Bowser is kind of lame, kind of lackluster. What's different is it has pretty significant performance issues. That's why I have to focus on the negatives, because that's what's different about it. Other than that, it's still a fun platformer running around in a 3D space with Mario, with catchy music and bright, clean visuals, and a nice art direction. It's a nice looking game. It's a fun playing game. But it's just not quite up to that level I would expect. So I would put it, having just played it, and then I actually restarted it, and I was like, this is a fun game. I would rather play this than Sunshine. So I'm gonna put it ahead of Sunshine, and it might even be ahead of 3D Land, because I was replaying 3D Land not that long ago, and I was kind of disappointed by it. Levels are super short. The menu, the layout, I don't really care for. The map screen, whatever you want to call it, the level selection screen. I'm not a huge fan of 3D Land. It set the table for 3D World, which is my favorite. So I'd probably put Bowser's Fury just ahead of 3D Land, just under Galaxy 1. So I'm going to rank the 3D Mario games: number 1, 3D World; number 2, Super Mario Galaxy 2; number 3, Super Mario Odyssey; number 4, Super Mario 64; number 5, Galaxy 1; number 6, 3 Bowser's Fury, number 7 3D Land, number 8 Sunshine. That's right now, and that could change. Breath of the Wild had some performance issues. I don't think it was 6. Breath of the Wild was 30, and it had a few performance issues. But it never affected platforming. It never affected what I was doing. I know Capable Ty, I think you were the one that said Bowser's Fury was better than Breath of the Wild. I think that's such an insult to Breath of the Wild, because they're not even close as far as just the quality of polish. Bowser's Fury's target 60. I feel like it hit 20 or lower a couple times, and I'm not going to say I died just because of that, but I definitely died during one of the slowdown moments. Fell into some lava. Can't say for 100% that's what caused it, but it's just disappointing. And I don't know if it's because a short development cycle or the 3D World engine just not really suited for a full 3D game, and they wanted to have it done. I don't know. It's not like Nintendo to release a game that I'd be curious to find out if it was the main 3D Mario team or not, because it's just unheard of. There's if you played the game, there's an area where there's like reddish rocks, and there's a Giga Bell, and there's these huge footprints, Fury Bowser footprints. They're filled with water. A bunch of cats running around. Just moving the camera in that area without Bowser, Fury Bowser around, it's just stuttery. It's just slow. Mario feels slow. So, I may sound like I'm harping on it. Like I said, that's the things that stand out. There's no amazing new thing that stands out versus other 3D Mario games, because it's not really new. I mean, it has all the costumes of 3D World. It has the run of 3D World. Actually, it doesn't even have the double jump like 3D World. So all the power-ups are very familiar. The other thing I didn't mention was the open level design. It's really good. It works, but I don't know that I would want it for any other games. If they did it differently, I mean, I could see them making it work, but like I said, having basically doing the same tasks in each area, get the 5 cat shards, get the Fury blocks. Actually, there's one more. You have to find a key and take it back to a cage. So they all of them have the same identical 3 things to do. So if you're gonna have another open level design like this, open world, you'd have to have much more diversity in the stars, the shines, the moons, whatever. Don't just repeat the same thing. If it's kind of like Starlink, all the planets in that game had the exact same agenda, exact same task you're doing. So I think it could work without Fury Bowser. It doesn't need Fury Bowser. It could just be, because I mean, it is cool when you open up all the areas and you're on the top of this mountain that looks like a cat ears, and you're looking out. I mean, it looks cool, but if it's not water, they'd have to have areas that weren't just water in between, and you have to have a faster way to travel. Plessy's a good way to travel on the water, but I don't think it's necessary. I'm fine with Odyssey, doing it, or just a level select like Galaxy 1 and 2, but I think they could make it really work, and I think it would be great. I also wouldn't be mad if they didn't do it again. It's weird. I'm kind of indifferent on it. It does lead to a unique situation where we've never had, a big open. I don't care what RetroDeath says. The open area in Bowser's Fury is way bigger than the Sand Kingdom, and maybe not in just in size. I definitely think it's bigger in its overall size, but in the amount of things to do in that one, technically one world, like I was on one end and I'm like, holy shit, like there's like these revolving platforms and I didn't even know this existed till towards the end of the game. I had already beat Fury Bowser and saw the credits at like 50 something shines, and I didn't even find this area, and it's actually the most challenging area. So I don't know. I'm torn. I like I said, I fine if they did it with some tweaks. I think it could work, or if they never did it again, I think I'd be fine with that. So, but as a follow up to Odyssey, I don't think it. It's hard, man, because before I went and played Odyssey earlier today, before I went back and then went right back to Bowser's Fury, I know the one thing that was nagging me. It's that not having Cappy. That is such a nice way to move around the environment, is to throw the cap, do the jump, bounce off it. That's I got so used to that, and not having that is definitely a negative. But at the same time, once you get past Odyssey's like main storyline, there's a lot of very fetch questy, very I just gotta go to the area. Oh, there's a just go to the side. Oh, there's a moon there. Like some of the moons didn't hold up. Now, if you take Odyssey's mechanics with Cappy and you put it in a game where, let's say, 50% of the last half of the game is a more challenging levels to get moons, not just finding them. My cat's spazzing. It could easily been the best Mario game ever. I mean, Odyssey's still my third favorite, but it could have been just amazing. So, but yeah, am I planning on getting Ratchet? If it gets under 40, I might. That's why I bought Bowser's Fury, because like this game's definitely going to be better than Ratchet, and I would say without a doubt. I haven't played Ratchet Rift Apart, but I'd be shocked if I like it more than Bowser's Fury, because Ratchet has its own issues as well, not just technically, but with its actual gameplay and stuff. So if that game drops below 40, depends on what I'm playing. Your most anticipated Nintendo game is Mario Party Remake. I mean, I can't criticize you. If you're a huge Mario Party fan, a lot of people are excited about bringing back the old map. If you're not a Metroid fan, there ain't. I mean, golf. I know a couple people have golf, and they don't really talk about it. One didn't even play it yet. It's just not. It's not a very exciting game. And Advance Wars remakes. I mean, cool. Glad people will be able to check those out. Fun games. WarioWare could be really cool. To me, that's not. It's more of a handheld type game. I only bought 2. I bought the first one and then Twisted. We'll see. That could be something I pick up. Dread, obviously, I'm getting. And I'm looking forward to that. And then I'm looking forward to Kena. Bridge of Spirits on the PS5. I'll be picking up Hades on PS5 here, probably within the next month or two. Still got to finish Returnal and Ghost of Tsushima. And then, there's kind of a bit of a gap there. So we'll see how the year ends up. But overall, Bowser's Fury doesn't look like a PS2 game. I mean, if you look at direct feed, it looks cool, really good. I don't know about their little high res screenshots they're showing though. It looks a little bullshotty. Yeah, you don't want to start with that one though. Just get Metroid Fusion. Just download a damn emulator and emulate Metroid Zero Mission or something. Just get it. Just try it. I mean, there's no harm if you have a PC. Mario Golf is shallow. Sports games were always B tier games, and this one misses the charm and effort. That's how I felt about Tennis Aces. B tier, C tier, shallow. Add this gimmick stuff. Just if you just had a really solid tennis game, still, I ain't gonna pay $60 for that. In golf, I ain't gonna pay $60 for even if a really solid golf game. Like. They need more New Donk City type levels for me to consider buying Mario Golf. So, but yeah, Bowser's Fury. I give it a B plus as DLC for 3D World. If it had come out before Odyssey, it would have been probably an A minus. Not like Odyssey doesn't have its issues in my mind, but it's still overall great game. So Bowser's Fury as DLC, B plus. Judging it as just a 3D Mario game, I'd have to give it a B minus, just because, you know, obviously the length, and it runs out of steam, and the main gimmick is, you know, pretty lackluster. Horizon 2 getting delayed, I'm never mad about a delay. I mean, you can go back and track. You could watch every single video I've ever made. I guarantee you I've never been mad about a delay. I've just always been disappointed because I have to wait to play a game I'm looking forward to. Definitely never mad. If it's delayed, there's a reason. Ori and the Will of the Wisp was delayed, and they should have delayed it another 2 months, because when I got it at launch, it didn't run for shit on the Xbox One S. So I'm more mad when they release buggy, glitchy games. Delay it however long it takes. Breath of the Wild 2, I was disappointed because I know that game now is not coming for anytime soon. But I'm not mad. I'm not gonna be mad because there's a reason that got delayed. There's a reason it's not coming out this year. It'll be better for it. It's just always disappointment. Never anger. I'm never mad about delays. It's just sucks. I gotta wait longer. I'll be, hopefully I'll be. Breath of the Wild 2 will come out before I'm 50 years old. You know, that's how I look at it. Breath of the Wild 2 isn't normal, though. It is if you do what I did, and stop thinking of it as just a quick sequel to Breath of the Wild. I think this is going to be a full-fledged Zelda game. So if it's 5 years, that's the normal time. I would much rather have a full Zelda experience that takes place directly after Breath of the Wild than would be a Majora's Mask-esque Breath of the Wild 2. You know, everyone's like, oh, they're using the same assets. Everything in the sky is new. You know, that's all new texture work. That's all new design. Yeah, it's the same game engine, but I hope this game is as big or bigger than Breath of the Wild, as epic, even more epic in story and scope. And if it's that, then it'll be worth it. If it turns out it's just a Majora's Mask-esque thing, why did it take this long? You know, like, that's when I'll be mad. But I don't expect that. I think they're like, wow, we have something here. This is what I'm hoping. We have something here special. There's no rush. Let's make this right. Let's just do it. Let's take the time. Let's make this true. The only disappointment is that I was looking forward to playing as Zelda, and I don't think that's going to happen. So, but yeah, that's it. Super long, 2 parts. But yeah, I'm a hypocrite. I'm sure someone's going to call me out about a Wii U port. I was looking at them on eBay, and they won't $40 plus $5 shipping. It hasn't changed. I couldn't find it any cheaper. So $50 for a brand new one. And I was like, if I play Bowser's Fury, and I'm like, I could always try to sell it for $45, and I lose like $7 after, with the tax I paid. But I'm actually really enjoying started 3D World. I'm on World 2, and I'm like, I might as well run through 3D World again. And now I have it physically, so I'm going to hang on to it. I'm glad I bought this instead of like Mario Golf or something. So, yeah. Thanks, you guys, for tuning in. Hope they keep the Hyrule map from 1 to a minimal then. They already showed it in the trailer. Yeah, that'll be interesting. Will you be able to fully explore Hyrule again? And then periodically go up into the sky? It'll be interesting to see. But we got plenty of time to talk about Breath of the Wild 2, how it might turn out. So thanks, you guys, for tuning in. And we'll see you guys next time.